Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us here for another episode of Cat Chat, the show where students discuss their views and opinions on today's topics. Like always, we're coming to you live here on the second floor of the Student Union, and you can catch Cat Chat on TV Monday through Thursday at 7 o'clock on KNWT, Channel 8. I'm your host, Joe Cornejo, and with me today, we only have two panels today, but hey, I don't discourage none, man. So, what's y'all names? Tell us who you are.
I'm Tez.
I'm Will. How's it going?
So, how long you been in Northwest, Tez?
This is my second semester here at Northwest. I'm a junior transfer student, majoring in production and broadcasting with a video emphasis.
Okay, so you a TV person, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's kind of familiar to all you, huh?
Yeah.
All right, man. Tez, welcome to the show. Will, you always here, man. Always a pleasure.
Always,
Recurring character on the show. It's gonna be a good time. So let's get started. So kick things off. Talk about saving some money here in 2018. In 2018, the government's expected to have some big budget cuts. They're going to cut 31% of the budget from the EPA, which is the Environmental Protection Agency, 28% from the Department of State, and 20% from the Department of Labor and the Department of Agriculture, along with 20 programs being cut from education, and the Meals on Wheels program, which feeds senior citizens, is on the verge of potentially being cut also. So, but we're expected to save $54 million in 2018 with all these budget cuts. So, do you feel like saving that much money is worth cutting all these programs?
I do not. These programs are essential to America, in my opinion. We could actually look at other programs or other institutions that should be that expenses should be reduced. That could help us. You know, for example, like I said earlier when we talked originally, we were talking about the penal system and the judicial system, how there's this institution has so much money being poured into it by the government, but there's so less money going into the educational systems. Why are there more prisons being built than school systems? But that's another topic for another day. We're gonna talk about the iron triangle that deals with politicians, with corporations, and those corporations deals with legislation. How politicians influence legislation who makes laws to help benefit these institutions. These institutions pay the politicians to influence the legislation, and that's why the penal system is so successful. That's why it's successful as an institution. But you know, that's just a little history for anybody that didn't know about the iron triangle.
Right?
Yeah. I definitely agree. It's a lot of other things we could be cutting the budget on. Once again, I understand why education is that, always being cut. You think you want to educate people, but it seems like over the years, they just been, that's like the first one, the go-to one to hit. It seems like the education budget is always the first one to get hit. And not only that, feeding veterans. I think Trump said something about, looking out for the veterans and everything, but I don't see how taking meals away from them is, helping them out. So, yeah, I think it's a lot of other things that can be cut. And prisons is a big one it makes more money than anything, so. Like it's a crazy world.
Yeah, like you said, the Meals on Wheels does feed not only senior citizens, but also veterans. Yeah. And the only thing that's going up on the spending is the defense system and veteran affairs. So that's really military spending and veteran affairs. The only thing that's going to go up, which is no surprise in there.
Right.
Every year, the military spending goes up higher and higher each time. And like you said, when it comes to cuts, education is always the first one. And it seems like if we want to fund education, we have to do it ourselves. Like Chance the Rapper, he's donating his own money to the Chicago public school system because they cut the spending there in Chicago.
I think Diddy started up some charter schools in New
York. The first charter in Harlem.
Yeah, in Harlem. Cool. Yeah.
So it's like, if we want to change education, it's like we have to do it ourselves.
Right.
So, like you said, the private institution system, there's more money going to the private prison industry than there is in education. So why do you think in America that's what we do?
Why?
Yeah, why do you think we spend more money on the private prison system than we do education? Educate our people.
Capitalism, that's why money.
Yeah.
Money hungry politicians they money hungry. And I believe a while ago when I took my government class, when we had to just do some research and then write a paper, I read an article pertaining to politicians going on vacations for like 6 months out the year, and then the other 6 months they're working in office. Why are we paying for their vacation time and their time in office? That's a problem.
That's taxpayer money.
That's taxpayer money. When this money should be going towards, the roads, highways, schools, after school programs, benefit the youth, because the youth is the future. These are the same people that we're going to look to when we get old. People. I'm depending on the government to help me get through school. I shouldn't have to be. I don't think that we as college students should be in so much debt when we graduate.
Yeah.
And we have to depend on this degree to get us into a career field that's not guaranteed once we graduate. But we have to get a career to pay for school. So we're paying to go to school just to pay our debtors back as soon as we graduate.
Yeah.
So this is a cycle that I think is quite is messed up in a way.
Yeah.
So
it's like perpetual debt. That's what it is. Right. Perpetual debt.
It's like they make it seem like you graduate college, you're free, you can do what you want, but you really, as soon as you get out, you're chained still to your debt.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard it takes years to pay off that debt.
True.
So you ever think we'll get to a point where education will be free?
Not here.
Not here?
Not in America.
Other countries do.
Yeah. It just makes too much sense. I feel like our system functions off chaoticness, so it makes sense why the penal system is such a, I guess, lucrative, business to a certain degree, because we encourage violence, we encourage chaos, so, people gonna do it. If you encourage certain things, people are more likely to do it, so we need more prisons because people keep doing crazy stuff, so it makes sense, it's messed up, but it all makes sense, And
the statistics show, when you cut after school programs, violence goes up in areas.
Mm-hmm.
So they're cutting these continuously, and they're feeding more money to the private prison industry. So it's kind of like they know what they're doing here.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's not the way to go, like you said. It's capitalism.
Yeah.
And it's like education's taking a hit, and Northwest itself is feeling a hit. Higher education institutions are getting a $67 million budget cut. Northwest is feeling $2.3 million of that, and the additional year, believe after next year, they're going to feel another $3 million loss. So Northwest has to raise their tuition prices 2.8%. They just had the meeting last month to confirm it. So how do you think this tuition increase is going to impact Northwest's future? Because I heard rumors that they're going to have to shut down Franklin because there's not enough enrollments.
Wow.
Right. From what I heard is that because tuition is going up and other issues dealing with the school, that they're going to have less incoming freshmen, which means that this school will have to try harder to retain its students here now. So the school will have to now come up with other ways of trying to increase retention rates rather than increase incoming freshman rates. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious to see how they're going to increase retention here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting future for Northwest with all the education cuts and tuition increase. But I guess we'll see how it plays out in the future for the Bearcats. But we got to take a quick break. When we come back here on Cat Chat, we'll talk about Marvel and diversity right here on Cat Chat. And welcome back to Cat Chat here on KNWT Channel 8. I'm your host, Joe Cornejo, and with me, my two panelists,
Tiz.
Will.
All right, so guys, we got a little serious first segment. We're gonna nerd it up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? You a comic book fan?
Yes, I am.
So this is gonna be all you right here, man. So, in case you guys didn't know, Marvel's Vice President of Sales recently came out and said diversity and people of color are the reason to blame for the lack of sales. Now, if you guys don't know, Spider-Man is now half Latino, half black. Ms. Marvel is Muslim American. You have the Black Panther, Riri Williams, and then Iron Man is now a woman. So there's been a lot of changes in the Marvel universe, and the Vice President of Sales blamed diversity for the lack of sales, but it came out to show that Spider-Man, Black Panther, Riri Williams, and Iron Man are all top 10 sellers for Marvel in the month of February in 2017. So it kind of contradicted what he said. So he backtracked and he said, well, I didn't really mean it that way, but I'm just saying I don't feel like our fans like us changing our core Marvel heroes, suddenly and abruptly, kind of just giving them new characters. So how do you guys feel about diversity in the Marvel universe?
I mean, honestly, if you really know the history of certain comic book characters, they were inspired by black Americans or black people in general, such as Superman. If you look at his powers and how the black male is portrayed, our melanin, we get powers from the sun. And Magneto was originally inspired by Malcolm X. If you look at Magneto's principles, they line up with Malcolm X principles, with the mutants being separated from the humans, and they're a superior race. So I mean, I support it in the sense that there's more color in comic books now. You know, it's a broader span for creativity. Really, if you look at the creative side of having different ethnicities, nationalities, and religion, creed in these comic books, it could inspire, you know, people such as me that was when I started reading comic books younger, you know, and just seeing the same type of person play these certain superheroes. You know, it gets kind of, you know, upsetting sometimes. But to see that now, they actually open that up to, you know, more people that look like me in these comic books. They could inspire more other young children or other people that read comic books to maybe chase that dream of creating comic books or other creative venues. So I think it's a superb idea.
Yeah, I also think I think it's good too as well, but I think they also comic books are like a reflection of society at the times, you know. So I feel like it would make sense why they would have, you know, a Muslim American woman as what did you say, Miss Marvel. You know, it's a, you know, not a contradiction at the times, but it's just like these people are being persecuted so heavy, you know what I'm saying? So let's switch it up. Let's flip it. You know, let's make them into superheroes. And as far as the kids, you know, a lot of kids, like how Tess just said about, you know, he grew up with comic books. You know, kids see that, you know, and they can relate that to the people around them. So they won't have such a negative opinion about, you know, people of the opposite race or minorities. And, you know what I'm saying? I just feel like it kind of, you know, opens it up. You know, it kind of opens it up for people to create and imagine and, you know, try to step outside of a normal, you know, life boundaries as far as race and interaction. So I definitely think that's something to integrate people and something to relate to, you know. Like you said, you get tired of seeing the same face, and that's not a reflection of our society. It's, you see different faces right here, so.
Yeah.
Melting pot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool you say, you know, they kind of reflect the times, because if you look back at the old comic books, like those Superman comic books with Wonder Woman, you kind of see the sexist jokes in there, innuendos and whatnot. So you won't see that in today's world, because we're not like that no more.
Right.
We hold women to an equal value as we do men nowadays. So they're gonna have equal respect in the Marvel world and in real life, which I think is really cool about the comic books. But do you think it's just mostly people are upset because it's just you're changing heroes that have always been the same? Like, you know, Peter Parker's always been Spider-Man, Tony Stark's always been Iron Man, Bruce Wayne's always been Batman. But if you change it up, it kind of, people don't like that change so abruptly.
People don't like change.
Do you think it's more of that? Like they're just changing people that they've always known to be?
I think, like you just said, people fear change. You know, people don't like new stuff, especially if it goes against what they're used to, the norms. You know, you're used to seeing a white Spider-Man, a white Superman. You know, it's just, to me, people just gotta just adapt. You know, it's the times, man. We passed that. You know, so there's no reason to keep hiding from that or want to pretend like it doesn't exist. It does. Just get over it. You know what I'm saying? You probably work with somebody black or Muslim or Hispanic. You never, you know, you with them every day. So it's just like, it's reality, man. Grow up. Like, nobody's gonna do anything to you. Like, come out of your shell, bro.
The way I see it is if, you know, they some people fear change because they so stuck on tradition. They stuck on traditional ways, and they're probably more conservative towards how things has always been. And
it's always been that way.
Yeah. So they see things one-sided instead of, you know, trying from a different perspective. You might have a better outcome, and they might also fear risk versus the reward factor. Like, they can risk so much and probably not having a reward from that risk that they take. So that's why I think they're so stuck. That's why some people choose not to take risks because they don't know the outcome. So it plays into, you know, being traditional and being fearful of what could possibly happen.
Do you think being traditional is reasons like why the Ghostbusters remake with the four ladies wasn't that successful? Or do you think it's because the movie wasn't that good?
I just don't think the movie was that good. Like, I went to go see Ghostbusters. It just wasn't that good. Like, the dude scientist was just dumb. The dude that was it Hemsworth or that plays Thor or whatever. It was just a dumb plot. Like, it could have been, the graphics and everything was there, you know, the jokes, but it's nothing like the other ones. Like, I just feel like some reboots they just need to leave alone. You know.
So you guys both agree it had nothing to do with the cast being all girls.
The movie wasn't that good.
It wasn't that good. It wasn't produced well.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And then you have movies like James Bond. There was rumors coming out that Idris Elba was going to be James Bond. He's going to be the first black James Bond. Everybody freaked out about it, but it's like you think about it, James Bond isn't the same person. It's not Peter Parker or Tony Stark, but they're the same person. James Bond could change up. So you think that's just another reason of just people just don't like that change?
Possibly.
Yeah. I think people will like it. I think the movies go back, as being top like action movies, because the action movies not really, other than Marvel movies and DC movies, like I don't really look forward to action movies for real no more, So I feel like James Bond could definitely use a reboot, and it's one of those franchises. If you put the right face on it, it'll blow again because they got all the new technology and you know what I'm saying. It's
special effects.
Yeah, special effects. So if they got a fresh face like Ebo or somebody like that, that's a big actor right now. You know what I'm saying? You see him everywhere for right now. So
like I can picture Idris Elba being James Bond.
Yeah, he'd be dope.
Perfect.
Yeah,
this makes too much sense.
He's got the accent, everything, like perfect.
Yeah. So when it comes to the Marvel Universe, do you guys think diversity would be more accepted if they just made new characters all based off diversity?
Yes.
Instead of just changing the ones they already have?
Yes and no, because the Marvel Universe and the DC Universe is already big enough as it is with so many characters.
Yeah.
And just to add more characters when you could just, like you say, it's a Marvel Universe. They could change it to a different universe and just have these same characters as somebody else.
True that.
Like a parallel universe.
Yeah, parallel universe. That's what I would like to see, from a different perspective. Like such as they used the DC universe and they made a Suicide Squad, a perspective from the villains, from the bad guys, from their perspective. And I enjoyed seeing that.
That was good, yeah.
And so using different characters, but using the same characters but as different people, I would look forward to that than just making new characters. Cause I'd be confused, like where did this person come from? So that's my perspective on it.
Okay, how about you, Will?
I pretty much agree the same. It's already so many characters. And new characters can just get lost in the bunch, because I feel like comic books are not as popular as they once was because we have the internet, we have all these other sources to kind of like pick up on that. So like, unless they really heavily advertise it or put it in like a movie or something, I just switch up the character, man. I do it on my 2K, People star new dudes, I just switch the name, throw some new tattoos on them, new character, Same stats, same rating,
No matter skin color, still putting up results.
Still putting up numbers,
That's what's up, man. But I do really like what you say about how comic books reflect where we are in today's society, man. We are a very diverse society. Something we pride ourselves on. We try to work and build on. So it's definitely looking for a good future for Marvel Universe. At least I think so. At least we all agree. All right, guys, we gotta take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna talk about some NBA basketball and Tupac's murder got solved. We're gonna talk about it when we come back.
Finally.
And welcome back to Cat Chat here on KNWT Channel 8. It's our last segment and my favorite segment. This is where we really get fun and talk about some just entertainment and whatnot. So, you guys NBA fans?
Yeah.
It's almost playoff season, baby. LeBron's getting in that form, but
Bronny.
Right? About that time. But let's talk about something a little different. Something's been going on for a while last few weeks. You guys remember when Shaq and JaVale McGee got into their little scuffle from Shaq and the Fool segments? So KD got involved, threw his little 2 cents in there, as did most of the Warriors team. And so KD pretty much told Shaq to back off, leave him alone. And then Shaq being Shaq, he's always petty. He says, you know what? You can't talk to me. You don't have no rings. You on the outside of the club looking in, along with Karl Malone, John Stockton, and Charles Barkley. Y'all all outside. You can't talk to me until you get a ring. So word got back to KD about that. And he said, you know what, Shaq? Rings aren't everything. They're not the end all be all in life. And I was like, when you hear that coming from KD of all people, do you think he really believes that when he left to join the Warriors to get a ring?
Yeah, he don't believe that, because if that was the case, he would have stayed, But I don't know. I just feel like a lot of the newer athletes don't pay respect to the ones that came before them. Like, I feel like it's not even just the athletes. I feel like it's almost like a generational thing. You see it in music, in sports, TV, everywhere. Like, people not respecting who put this there before them, And I feel like for him to try to go at Shaq, because he also said Shaq was unskillful and a bunch of other stuff. It's like, bro, he has 4 rings. Like,
you don't have one.
Yeah, you don't have any. But I don't know. I feel like he was kind of out of place to say that about Shaq. But as far as the rings, I think rings do matter. You you're not really in the talks unless you do have a ring, you know. Like Charles Barkley is not in the same breath as Michael Jordan. You know
Shaq
what I'm saying?
always holds that over his head.
Exactly.
They work together. He always tells them. They sit right next to each other. He's like, you don't have no rings. You can't talk. You can't tell me nothing.
Don't tell me nothing about a championship. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's messed up, but if I had a ring and you didn't, and you tried to tell me about championships, I couldn't take it. It's a certain credibility there. So.
It's like, you know, Jordan would always say the same thing to Patrick Ewing. He's like, you don't have a ring because of me.
Right. Yeah.
So that's just how it be, man. What about you, Tesla?
That KD situation, man, I do feel as if he did join the Warriors to get a ring, even though he's saying that a ring is not everything. I mean, if you were loyal to the Thunders, then you should have stayed there and try to work with your team to get a ring, but you decided to switch to a team that could better your chances to get a ring. And also, I think he was out of pocket. He overstepping his boundaries. You know, this is a Hall of Famer legend right here, and you crossing the line in a sense by saying that a ring is not everything. When based on your actions, it seems like a ring is everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you just left your team to join a team that was 73-9
yeah.
years before that. By history books, that's the best regular season team ever in the NBA.
Yeah, they have the first. What are they? The fourth team in history with 365 win seasons in a row,
really?
Other than the Lakers, Bulls, and Celtics, or something like that. So yeah.
Very historic franchise.
But regular season don't matter. It don't matter. Regular season doesn't matter. They proved that last year. They went 73-9 and still lost. So it don't matter.
Do you think the NBA? Do you think any other sport besides the NBA there's a higher stress on rings impacting your legacy than there is the NBA? 'Cause the NBA holds their players to a very high level if they don't have a ring. It's like the longer they go without a ring, the more pressure mounts on you. You saw having LeBron, like Melo, KD's going through it.
Yeah, Melo's not winning one. Chris Paul's not winning one. Durant might win one once LeBron is done. I think the NBA, because of it's not as many positions. You know what I'm saying? So like football, you got 22 positions. You know what I'm saying? So you can excel at being the best tackler, the best sacker, the best, and still get a Hall of Fame and still be in those talks because of the style of game. I feel like, but with basketball, it's 5 spots. You know what I'm saying? So it's a dogfight, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like it's harder to, I don't want to say it's harder to repeat in football, but it somewhat is harder to repeat because of the injuries and it's a lot of obstacles to get a ring, a Super Bowl than it is to get an NBA championship. But then again, you know, on the flip side, you got 82 games and then you got to play another extended, 16 or 16 to win it, so you can still play like, 32 or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, LeBron been there 6 straight years, so.
Right. It's like, who are you to talk to me about a regular season game?
I feel like with basketball, if you have a legit team, a core, like Jordan had his three core, you got a solid core, you keep them together and put pieces around them, it's definitely easier to repeat and win championships, unless you like the New England Patriots, and some of their stuff got asterisk by as far as Deflategate, spying on the Rams, you know, stealing playbooks, and it's a lot of stuff out there, you know, so, yeah.
You feel the same way, Tess?
I do. I do feel as if the NBA do stress on having a ring compared to other to other sports in America that goes on television, because it's a team game, but in certain aspects it's more individual based. It's more individualized. So yeah, that's my opinion on it.
That's fair. All right. So playoffs about to start real quick. You guys got it.
Cavs, man, they going back.
Feeling the Cavs again this year?
I believe the Cavs.
Cavs 7 straight for LeBron. Nobody. Did you see what he did to Boston last night? Okay.
Stay there for Boston. They just really
all
fell
right.
flat in the face.
LeBron's in. He's ready. He's ready to go.
Yeah,
I think they're gonna go back. They got the squad. They got the depth again. They got better shooters. Kyrie's still shaking everybody. Like, if Clay and Curry couldn't hold him last year, you're not gonna hold him this year. You know, so same scenario, same thing applies.
You think we're gonna see a Warriors-Cavs finals again?
Oh, it's gonna happen. If not, it's the
pretty
Spurs.
stacked right now. Like, you got James Harden over. They got the Spurs. Clippers. I guess we want to throw them in there. The West is stacked.
If not the Warriors, the Spurs, I think, from the West.
It's gonna be interesting. West is definitely the conference to watch. But switching up gears real quick, so everybody knows about Tupac Shakur. Right? Everybody knows the story behind Tupac, the murder, how it's been unsolved ever since it happened, since '96. It's been unsolved for almost 21 years now, right?
Yeah.
It's going on, but it seems like we may have finally solved the murder. Suge Knight, the guy that was in the car with Tupac, came out and said that the people that killed Tupac was his ex-wife and the bodyguard, the head bodyguard of Death Row Records at the time, saying that they were plotting to kill Suge Knight because they were trying to get the company, which was worth $500 million at the time. So pretty much how it goes is that we sacrificed Tupac to keep Suge Knight alive. So do you guys actually believe Suge Knight? Do you think this is actually what happened with Tupac? There's always a lot of theories.
I don't know. I heard a lot of conspiracies pertaining to the death of Tupac. But I mean, is he saying this as like isn't Suge Knight still locked up right now?
He's in jail.
So could this be like a plea to get lesser time? Like why is he saying this now after years later? So I mean, I'm kind of
iffy about it.
Kind of iffy about it. Like, what's the reason you're doing this for real? What are your intentions?
Yeah, because Suge Knight's always been a guy who lives by the code, streets of the code.
Streets,
Code of streets. He's like no snitching, but now he's in jail. Now he's saying, oh, this person did it.
Yeah.
Good thing, at least we have some closure for it.
Yeah.
All right, Tez, Big Will, thank y'all for coming today on Cat Chat. As for me, your host Joe Cornell, be here next week, same time, same place. You know what it is. It's Cat Chat on KNWT.